unlock your true potential. Now, you're not here by accident. You've tuned in because something resonated, and you're probably thinking about making some changes, or you're at least wanting something to be a bit different. And you didn't pick up this masterclass by coincidence. Now, when we say coincidence, we tend to think about some random happening. But actually, there are no coincidences, because a coincidence is really what we call a co-created incident. So it's not something that's happened by luck or by accident or by fluke. It's something that you co-created. So we've got some exciting stuff to cover over the next 3 days. I'm really looking forward to spending the time with you. Thank you for tuning in. So over the next 3 days, I'm going to explain to you how you can really achieve what you want permanently, and especially how to create more time and money freedom, and finally getting to do all of those things that you can't seem to find the time for anymore these days. But actually, the principles that we're going to talk about apply to anything you want, not just that. Now, imagine how it would benefit you and your loved ones if you were to live the life that you really want to be living. Now, the great news is that actually you can. See, the thing is that if you can think of something, if you can come up with an idea, that means that you can be, do, and have it. Because for you to come up with the idea, for the thought to appear, you must already have inside of you all that you need to achieve it, because otherwise you wouldn't have come up with the idea, right? So all you really need to do is just connect with that part of you, those parts of you that you haven't met yet. And that's the exciting thing about working towards a goal. Now, I never thought of creating an iPhone because that's not my thing. That thought didn't come up for me. But I did think of creating a successful coaching business to show people how they can live more fulfilling lives, because that is my thing. Now, I always say, if you have kids, ask yourself, what example do you want to give to them? Right? What do you want to teach them about life? Do you want to teach them that they can be whatever they want to be, or that they are limited in any way? Or do you want to teach them confidence, and do you want them to feel empowered? Or do you want them to believe that they have to settle for second best? So I think we want our kids to become whatever they want to become, right? And to be confident and empowered. So if you want it for your children, then why not have that for you and set the example? Because actually, and I posted about this not so long ago, kids don't listen. They watch what you're doing. They don't listen really to what you're saying, as we all know. They watch what you're doing. And actions definitely speak louder than words, right? We all know that. Now, I do always say this, if you're on an aeroplane, the stewardess, the cabin crew, should call them now, they'll tell you to put your own oxygen mask on first, right? Because when you are okay, when you're feeling good, you have way more to give to others around you. And the other thing is that you're also setting the example that it's okay to live the life that you want, so that you sort of, by default, allow others to do that too. You show them that they can do that too. So today's all about setting and achieving goals. Tomorrow we're going to start talking about overcoming some obstacles on the way to your goal. We've all met up with those. And on Wednesday, we'll get into how to really properly use the law of attraction and some other universal laws to really get what you want. So this will be a definite life changer for you. Now, make sure you've got pen and paper. And if you have any questions, then put them in the comments and I'll get to them at the end of each session. Okay, so my name's Caddi. Some of my logistic connections here will know me better as Kath, but it's still me. I'm still the same person. I'm a life coach, and I train people how to create a mindset for success, simply said. I'm associated with the Proctor Gallagher Institute and a certified coach for them for their Thinking into Results program. Now, you might know Bob Proctor from the movie The Secret. If you're into the law of attraction, then you've definitely probably watched or at least heard of that movie, The Secret. Now, Albert Einstein, love Albert, he said that the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and over again and then expecting a different result. And he also said that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that created them. Very true, right? And did you know, by the way, that there cannot be a problem without a solution? So if there is no solution, there wouldn't be a problem. So that's good to know, right? So you know that every problem or every issue you have, there is always going to be a solution for that. So what it means is, what he says, what it means is that we have to start entertaining some new ideas. We have to open our mind and start to think about some alternative possibilities and thought patterns. So, what do you want? What would you like to change and improve in your life? Get your pen and paper, write it down. Just a couple of things that might pop up if you haven't given it thought before. Now, most of us will say that you don't know what you want. We do know what we want, we probably just haven't given it much thought. So if you believe that you don't know what you want, then have a think about these questions. So what don't you want? What are the things that you don't want? And what are you good at? So you can write down these questions, right, and get back to them after the session. What are you good at? What makes your heart sing? What makes you happy? And really important, how do you want to feel when you wake up in the morning? Right? Everything we want, we really only want because we believe that we will feel better in the having of it. Right? That's why we aim for things. So how do you want to feel when you wake up in the morning? Maybe you want to feel energized or inspired, excited, looking forward to your day. That's how you want to feel. But is that how you're feeling most days right now? No? Well, time to do something about it, right? And you're in the right place to start doing that right here and right now. So how about when you go to sleep? How do you want to feel when you go to sleep? Maybe fulfilled or satisfied. You might want to feel like you've added value during the day, you made a difference. And you're probably ready for a rest, but looking forward to tomorrow. It'd be great, right? So again, is that how you're feeling now when you go to sleep most days? And if you're not, what if you could? That would be amazing. So now think about how you want to feel during the day. And I bet you that you don't want to feel, rushed and stressed all the time, right? So maybe you are like many of my clients were, like I was, just feeling short of time all the time. Rush, 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 never enough time in the day. So you work a lot of hours. And even when you're not at work, you're probably thinking about work and you're getting onto email over the weekend to get ahead. Right? Now, actually, I was saying this to someone else the other day. You're not really doing yourself or anybody else any favors by sending emails out over the weekend, right? Because who wants to come in on a Monday morning to a full inbox with all of your messages? So what also tends to happen is that even when we do have some time, you might feel tired. You have no energy and you're spending time with your family, your friends doing the things that you would like to be doing, but you're still thinking about work. And then you feel guilty, right? Because you want to be with your family, but you're thinking about work. So when you're at home, you think I should be doing some work. And when you're at work, you think I should be spending more time at home with my family and loved ones. So it's really a never-ending hamster wheel, that, isn't it? So ask yourself, how long have you been feeling like that? Oh my God, I used to feel so rushed as soon as I got up in the morning. Quick shower, quick breakfast, quick getting ready. Really never it felt like I had enough time to get anything done, to get everything done. But actually, by me feeling rushed, I didn't shower any quicker. I just felt stressed. And really, we can only do one thing at a time. You can only do one thing at a time. So we may as well decide right now that while we're doing the one thing at a time that we can do, we're going to decide that we're going to feel relaxed while we're doing it, because it's going to make no difference to what we're actually doing. We're just going to feel better. Now, wouldn't it be great if you could feel like you are structured and organized and that you are adding value, that you are on purpose? And on purpose means that you are deliberately and consciously working towards something that you want to be working towards, that you're focused when you need to focus and then have time to relax in between. So the first thing I want you to start telling yourself, write this down, and tell yourself over and over again is, I am so happy and grateful now that I have more than enough time to do everything that needs to be done and everything I want to do every day. Right? So I'm so happy and grateful now that I have more than enough time to do everything that needs to be done and everything I want to do every day. Now, it sounds weird, right? But it works. And remember, we've got to do things a little bit differently. We've got to start thinking a little bit differently. Our logic needs to change a little bit. So every time you feel rushed or stressed, say it in your mind at least 10 times, right? This is what we call auto-suggestion or self-suggestion. See, the thing is, when you tell yourself a lie often enough, you start to believe it, right? So you can trick yourself to start to believe that you have plenty of time. And really, a belief is just a thought that we keep thinking. So keep thinking a different thought and you start to create a different belief. So back to the question to ask yourself if you don't yet know what you want. So here's a good one. What would your ideal day look like? In your ideal world, what would your ideal day look like? Start really thinking about that. So do you have a goal? You see, goals are important, and here's why. We are human beings and we are part of nature. Now, when we look at nature, it's always growing. Right? The universe is always expanding. So for us to feel good, being part of nature, we have to be growing, we have to be expanding. Now, most people think that the purpose of a goal is to get the results, right? And that is partly true, of course, and the result is nice, right? So maybe you want more time, more money, better health, improved relationships, the new car, the house, the holiday, the shoes, etc., etc. But the real purpose of a goal is for us to grow, because we've got to turn into the person that's living that goal. So we have to, like I said before, meet up with those parts of ourselves that we didn't probably even know were there. So we are goal-seeking organisms, and it is totally normal and totally natural for us to always want more and better. It's totally in line with the natural laws of the universe, right? And look around you, everybody wants to run faster. You want to jump higher. We want to have better food, better health. We're always looking for better. So I want you to tell yourself that it is okay to want more and it is okay to want better. In fact, it's the normal process of life to feel like that and to actually go do that. Now, the goals that we work with in my coaching are what we call C-type goals. So there are A-type goals, and an A-type goal is something you really already know how to do. You've done it before, maybe like buying a car or booking a holiday. So you can still set an A-type goal and work with an A-type goal, but it's not what we are working with. So then there's the B-type goal. So the B-type goal is really something that you think you can do. So you make a plan, and if this happens and that works out and such a body does this and such a body does that, then it could happen. So again, you may still set some B-type goals, but they're not very exciting. And what tends to happen is that we give up at the first or the second hurdle. So the goal we want to be working with is a C-type goal. So a C-type goal is something that you really, really want. You have a burning desire for it. You haven't done it before and you don't know how to do it. And it excites you, but at the same time, it really scares the bejeebies out of you as well. Right? So you've got a burning desire for it. It excites and delights you, but it scares you at the same time. That's the C-type goal. So when we set goals in our training, really we only concern ourselves with what we want. We don't consider the how at all. Because the thing is, you don't know how to do it. It's new, right? But that's exactly what you're going to learn. So it's like when you first got in the car to learn how to drive, you had no clue how to operate that car, but you decided that you were going to learn to drive. And after a few months, you had then sufficient knowledge on how to operate the car and you passed your test. Right? Now, some of us took longer than others, but in the end, we all got there. Right? Now, for those of us who've been driving for a few years, you can drive 100 miles, 300 miles. You can get to your destination and you have no clue how you got there. Right? Because you learned how to operate that car. You see, the thing is that you're living the way that you're living and the way that you're living. So maybe you're working, however many hours you're working. You're earning the money that you're earning. You're thinking about work, checking your emails over the weekend and in the evenings, because that's what you know how to do. You got yourself into the habit of living that way. We'll talk more about habits tomorrow. So you could say that you're operating from your current blueprint. Now, the thing with habits is that they feel comfortable. And unfortunately, we are creatures of comfort. But for us to change something, we've got to start changing some of those habits, right? Now, think of someone who's earning, 50K a year. And then think of someone who's earning 250K a year or $1 million a year or 10K a year. Now, the only difference between those people, is the way that they think, right? It's what they consider to be possible for them. If the 10K a year person started to consider and believe that they could earn $1 million a year, guess what? That's what they start moving towards, but they've got to believe it. So, you might think and you may well believe that you have to work a lot of hours to earn the money that you're earning. But it's not actually true, right? Because there are many people who work less hours than you do and they're earning more money. So that's not true. So it is possible for you to have way more time and to have way more money or work less hours and bring in the same money, but you've just got to learn how to do that, or anything else that you want for that matter. So now think about that thing that you want again. And now imagine that it were not impossible. And I always say, just for a moment, just suspend with your disbelief, right? Give yourself the opportunity to imagine that it could be possible. So if you thought it was possible, what action would you be taking? So do that right now, because the actions we take when we believe something is possible are very different to the actions we take if we don't believe it's possible, right? And the thing we have to do really is just change that blueprint. You've got to change the blueprint that you're operating from. So see, the thing is that when you seriously start thinking about your goal, when you start giving it some consideration, and you start thinking about what you really want, new ideas start to come up. And until you do that, no ideas will pop into your mind. But as soon as you start to think about what you want, what you really want, and start to entertain the idea, things will start to pop up into your mind. Right? So once you decide on your goal and you decide that you're going to achieve it, and remember, if you can think it, you can do, be, and have it, right? And for sure, things you've never thought of before will enter your mind. And you will start to come up with thoughts about how you can make it happen. Now, the thing is, you've got to decide, right? Because as an example, until you decide that you're buying a new car, you don't need the money for it. Until you decide that you're buying the house, you don't need the deposit for it. Now, until you decide that you're going on holiday, you don't need the time off, you don't need the plane ticket, you don't need the hotel. So it's only when you make a decision, when you decide what you want, that the how will start to show itself to you. It's like when you get into a new job, you don't know how, but you learn and then you deliver. So the great thing about working with a coach really is that we help you to set your C goal, and then we drag you out of your comfort zone and we stop you from settling for second best. And then we show you how to achieve your goal by holding you accountable and getting you thinking outside of your current frame of reference, outside of your current box. Right? Anybody who's good at anything has an instructor, right? They go to the experts and ask them. So it's actually one of the first things my clients say to me is that once I allowed myself to think about what I really actually wanted, the ideas started to flow. And within no time, they're making some massive changes and they're well on the way to achieving it, which is what I love the most about my job, is to see that happen. So the thing is that, and it's a really, really good thing, that success isn't down to luck. It's not down to environment. It's not down to education or talent or skill or upbringing or any real outside influence. Success is a system. And when you understand the system, you can apply it really to anything you want, and you'll achieve it guaranteed as long as you follow it. Because it's success is governed by universal laws like the law of cause and effect, the law of polarity, the law of relativity, law of attraction, law of vibration, many, many more. And we'll get into those more in day 3 of the masterclass. So watch this space. Now, Earl Nightingale, who was Bob Proctor's mentor, quoted a great definition of success. And he said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So we tend to think that we're successful once we've arrived at our goal, our destination. But actually, arriving at the goal is a result of you being successful. So just think about this. So for you to achieve your fitness level, for instance, you achieve it after you've successfully done your exercises over time. You get that promotion after you've successfully done your job. You receive the money after you've rendered a service. No, you eat a delicious cake after you've successfully put the ingredients together. So as long as you are moving towards your goal, you are successful, the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And just like the cake, achieving your goal really requires certain ingredients. So think of a goal that you have achieved in the past. Now, why did you achieve it? Well, very simply put, you came up with the idea. You thought of it, remember, can't say it enough. If you can think it, you can be, do, or have it. And at some level, you believed that it was possible. You didn't know how, but you thought that it could happen. Even if it was just a tiny little spark of belief, there was a possibility that it could happen. The other thing is that you really wanted it. You had that burning desire for it. And you decided that it was going to happen. Now, because of these initial ingredients, you then started to take some action, some different action. So maybe if you wanted to get fit, you inquired about classes at the gym and you got yourself some training gear. If you wanted to get promoted, you found out what you needed to do and then you maybe learned some new skills. And then what you did is you created some habits, some new habits. So, for instance, you started going to the gym or go for a run, or go for a cycle ride or whatever to get fit, to get towards your fit goal. Or maybe you started studying some new skill. And the thing is that you were consistent with those habits and you developed persistence. So because you had that burning desire, you persisted. So even if things got a little bit difficult, you kept going. So you were consistent and persistent. And then you started to see results. So it worked, right? Now, we tend to do all of this very unconsciously. But actually, the same principles apply to everything we want. Right? So we just have to make sure that we get those ingredients in the right quantities, belief being one of the big ones. And then it will happen. Whatever you want, you're going to have to achieve. Now, the trouble is that we are taught from a very, very young age, we're conditioned from being very, very little to argue for our limitations. You can't do that because, rather than our abilities to achieve what we want. Right? So let's start arguing for our ability rather than our limitations. And most of the time we tell ourselves why we can't do something. I would like that, but I can't because. Right? Rather than ask ourselves, how can I? Right? So from now on, when you want something, ask yourself how you can, rather than thinking about why you can't. Because all those limiting views and reasons, they're actually not true. They're just a story that you've made up. Earl Nightingale, who, as I said, it was Bob Proctor's mentor, I love this quote. I heard this the other day. He said, the secret of happiness is freedom. And the secret of freedom is courage. So here's a question. Are you ready to pluck up the guts and the courage to do something about what you really want? To do something towards your C-type goal? Because if you don't change something, I promise you nothing is going to change. So ask yourself, where will you be in 6, 12 months from now, or in 3, 5, or 10 years from now, if you don't start doing things a little bit differently? Be in the same place, more of the same. And if that's where you want to be, great. But I think you're on this masterclass because that's not where you want to be. Okay? So open up your mind and start to think a little bit differently. And the first thing to do is to start thinking differently by opening your mind up to the possibilities, by imagining that it could be possible, and by deciding on that C-type goal. So if you need some help with that, come and talk to me, right? Decide that you're going to go for what you want to do and you're going to really work out what it is. So think back to those questions that we mentioned at the beginning of the session and really give those some thought, right? Overnight, give yourself half an hour to really start giving that some serious thought and come talk to me. Right. So let me just see if there are any questions. I haven't seen any yet. Just 1 second. Laura. Bear with me. No, can't see any. Someone's asking, how do we change habits? Well, we change habits First of all, by changing our way of thinking, and we're actually going to get into this in tomorrow's session in quite a lot of detail. 98% of what we do is habitual. Think about your day yesterday or your day today, and how much of that did you consciously actually do? In fact, we probably don't even remember most of the stuff that we did earlier on today or yesterday. Right? So all of our habits create our behavior, and our behavior causes a reaction. So tomorrow also we talk about a little bit about the law of cause and effect. So every cause has an effect, every action has a reaction. So every action that we are taking gives us a reaction, and that reaction we could call our results. So if we want to change the results in our life, we have to change some of the actions that we're taking. And we do that through implementing some new habits. And we can only implement one habit at a time. So let's leave that until tomorrow, and we'll talk about that more. So overcoming obstacles, that's exactly what we'll talk about tomorrow. And start to think about what you believe is holding you back, right? Because all of those reasons that you're coming up with, they're probably really not true. Okay, so start to think about what is it, when you think of your goal, when you think about what you really want, what do you believe is holding you back? Because really, the only thing that's holding you back is the limitations that you put upon yourself. It's the story you tell yourself. And we're going to make a start of getting rid of those tomorrow. Okay, so this was awesome. It's gone so quick. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Think about those we mentioned earlier. And also think about what it would mean to you and your family and your loved ones if you could really achieve that goal, if you could live the life you want to be living, your goal. Don't you want to get that? It'd be awesome, wouldn't it? See you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Bye.